this video is going to be really short. We're going to talk about members. So we've used members so far in these video tutorial series, and we're going to use them a lot. That's a lot of what you're going to be doing in C# is using members. So I don't want to get off into a technical explanation of what a member is and how it's there, why it's there, because in order to do that we have to get into object-oriented programming. And I don't want to delve into object-oriented programming right now. We will later on, but I think it's important to get a good foundation, get grounded in the fundamentals first, and then move on to object-oriented programming. But I do want you to be aware of members, that just the fact that they're there and that you can use them, right? As long as you know they're there and that you can use them and how to access them and how to use them, then that's good for now. Later we'll worry about the more technical definition of members and all that good stuff. So let's look at it. It's going to be really short. Let's look at the code here. And I just have a form app, and I've just got a button here. So let's go to the code behind. We'll hit F4 to go to the code behind, or F7 actually. F4 brings up the property grid. F7 will take you to the code behind, or again you can right click view code. I've double clicked on this button to set up this click event, which just means anytime a user clicks on that button, it's going to execute this code, right? So I'm in the code behind, so let's take a look at this code. I have a Boolean variable. I just called it yes, no, and assigned it the default value false. It gets assigned false by default anyway, but I like to do it explicitly. It just makes it clear. So I have a string variable, a box, right? And I put this Shakespeare line in my box, my Shakespearean box, right? So I have this variable, I called it Shakespeare, and I put this line in it, and so I've got this box, this variable with this string, right? This string from this Shakespearean string, right? So okay, so now let's take a look at the members. We have this variable that holds a string in this case, and strings have members. Everything has members in C#. Everything has members in C#. Everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. Everything has members. Some may have very few members, but everything has members. So we're just going to look at just a couple of types here, but every type has members. Every type has members. So let's look at some of the members for a string. And we access members through the dot, through the period, right next to the variable. And just period, and that's going to bring up all the members for the string. These are string members, right? This is a variable that holds a string, and these are its members. These are its members, and you see I have a lot of members in here. And the purple box, let's not worry about the purple box or the arrow that's down the road. This is the regular purple box. These are methods. These are methods. Again, methods do something. Methods do something, like a function, or they do something, right? So a method does something, and there's code that handles whatever it is, right? So a method does something, and the purple box, these represent the symbol for a method, right? These are methods, and this will tell you, I know some of this is off the screen here, but this will tell you what the method does, right? Copies a specified number, whatever it is. So it tells you what the method does. It gives you some information about it. It gives you its parameters, and we'll talk about methods later on. And we'll talk about parameters. So if you have no idea what a parameter is, that's okay. We're going to talk about those later on. Just know that the purple box indicates a method, and a method does something, right? This little symbol here, little icon with a hand and it looks like a form or something, whatever it is, that icon represents a property. And I don't want to get off into a technical definition of what a property is right now. You can think of a property as a variable. That's why the box, right? It's technically that's not true. We'll get into a more technical definition when we get into object-oriented programming, but for now you can think of a property as a box. Same basic principle, same idea, right? Same general idea. So properties are boxes. They hold data. They hold data, right? So this is a property, and this property, length, gets the number of characters in the string. It just gets the number of characters in the string. And it's an int. It's of int type. You see the int there. It's of int type. So to access the members, we use the member access operator, right? The member access operator, period, right? So just type the period right next to it, and it gives you the members. And this is Intellisense. This is called Intellisense. This is Visual Studio's thing. Very, very helpful. And by the way, you can hold down Control, and it'll ghost this out, make it kind of transparent, give it some transparency, so you can see behind it if you need to. So if it's blocking your view and you want to see what's behind there, you just hold the Control button down, just hold it down, and it'll make that transparent so you can see behind it. Let off Control and it comes back up. So the Intellisense is just Visual Studio's way of helping you out. It's a big help. It's a very big help. So you just hit this period, type that period, and all the members pop up, right? And if it's selected, you see it's selected with the yellow highlight there, then you can just hit enter, and it'll stick it in there. Just hit enter. You don't have to click it. You can double click it. That's fine. You can just hit enter, and it'll stick it in there. So the period accesses members. Again, we're not getting off into a technical definition of what members are, where they come from. We'll save that for when we get into object-oriented programming. For right now, just know that there are members, and you can access them with that period. Period is called the member access operator, right? Member access operator. You're accessing its members, right? And so the purple box icon represent. There are other things. We're just going to focus on methods and properties for now. So the purple box is the symbol for a method. A method just does something. It just does something, right? And this little thingy here represents a property. This is a property, right? That hand with a form or whatever that is. This represents a property. So this would be a method, right? And this gives you information about the method. This is a property, and this gives you information about that property, right? And so everything in C# has members. Everything, right? Everything has members. We're only focusing on a couple of types here, but every type, and every type, we're talking about the .NET class library later on. I have no idea how many types are in there, thousands maybe. All of them have members. Every single one of them have members. Every type, all the built-in types, everything has members in C#. And the way you access those members is through that period. And these could be properties, which is just data about the thing, about the object, the thing. We'll call it a thing for now. When we get into object-oriented, we'll call it an object or an instance. But for now, we'll just think of it as a thing, right? So it's a thing that's in the computer's memory, right? So this thing, this box, if you will, in this case, has members, and we access it through that period. And we're just focusing on methods and properties now. There are other types of members, but those are the main ones, properties and methods. So one of the methods is for a string, and every type has they have some of the same members, but they'll have different members depending on what the type is. So a string has members that other types aren't going to have, right? So strings have a method, the purple box, and I know some of this is off the screen here, but this returns a value indicating whether or not the string is within the string, whether or not this is in the string, right? So let's take a look at this. We want to know if this string, this variable really that holds this string. We want to know if this string contains this. Does it contain that? And in this case it does right here. You see, we're looking to see if this contains this, right? And actually in this case it does right there. Right? So this should be true. And here we're using another method called equals, and this is a better way to check to see if two strings are equal to each other. You could use the two equal sign, but I recommend using this, right? And I'm not worried about why right now, but just know that this is a better way to check to see if one string is equal to another string. And again, we access it through this period, right? This member access operator. And you can just like type in the first couple of letters. It'll pop up. Once it's highlighted, just hit enter, and it'll throw it in there. Yeah. So again, the period, we access this members, has a lot of different members, and one of them is this equals, and this is a way to check to see if one string is equal to another string, right? So what we're doing is we're checking to see if this string, this is a variable that holds a string, right? It's holding this string in this case. We want to see if it's equal to this string, right? I keep doing that. We want to see if it's equal to this string, right? So that's all that, in this case it is, right? I just copy this string and put it in here, so I know it's equal. And this gets the length. This is a property. A string, a property. It's a property that all strings have. All strings have these same members, right? And one of them is called length, which, just like with the list, or the array actually, it gets the number of characters, right? So it just counts these characters in this string, right? It just says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it just counts all the characters, and that's what it gives you. And it's an int. It returns an int, right? It's going to return an int. And we can see that here, the int, it tells you what kind of data it gives you, right? It gives you an int, int. You can see that you can hover over it, and int. So we got to declare this variable as int, because that's the type of data it's going to return, right? So let's comment this out real quick, and I'm going to put a breaking point right here, and let's go ahead and step through this. Okay, click the button. Okay, we'll stop right here. So here, pretty straightforward. We're just assigning the string to this variable, this box that holds a string. And now we're running this method. We're calling this method. It's one of the members of string. All strings have this member, all contains. And we want to know if this string, the string that this variable holds, contains that, PEA in this case. And it's true, right? So we're getting true here because it does indeed contain PEA, right here, PEA. So that's true. And so we go to the next line. Let's go ahead and execute that. So now we want to know if this string is equal to this string, right? Whatever's in the parentheses. And it's true, right? This string is equal to that string. And now we want to get the length. The length is 39, so there are 39 characters in this string. Let's go ahead and execute that. And now we've assigned that property to this variable, right? Okay, so let's see what happens when this string isn't equal to that string. And now we should get false, right? So let's keep stepping. That one's still true. And here now we get false, right? Because, oh, what a rogue and peasant slave am I does not equal to be or not to be, right? Two different strings. So those are no longer equal. So now this is returning false, right? And let's go ahead and stop this. And just like with the length, this will tell you what it's returning. I can't highlight that, but you can see in the Intellisense, the first word there is bool, B-O-O-L. It's the first thing you see there. This first word, it's telling you what it returns. It's returning a boolean. Remember, boolean is true or false, right? True or false. It's returning true or false. So it's either going to be true or it's going to be false, right? So I'm assigning that to this variable yes, no, which holds a bool, right? A boolean. So this is one of the string members, is one of its methods. So it has methods, it has properties. Okay, so let's look at this this code. Just about finished with this video. So here we've got a string. We're just assigning this literal string 44 to this variable, right? As we've done several times before. And this time we're going to access a member of the int type, right? Just the int. This isn't a variable. This is the actual. This is the type int, right? And by the way, you could also use capital int. Either way. Actually, it's int 32. So int 32, which is this is the .NET class library. We'll talk about the .NET class library later. It's actually the same thing. It's same. So we'll talk about the .NET class library later. Note that was a teal color and this is a blue color. This is built into C#, but it's actually the exact same thing. So anyway, we've got the type int period once again, and those are its members. This only has a few members, but it has members, right? And one of those members is parse, and we can read some of this maybe off the screen. But the parse method, it returns an int. We see int in the top left corner. I know you can't see it on the screen, but trust me, it's there. If you look at it in your project, you'll see int, the top left corner. So that's the type of data it's going to give you, and it converts a string representation of a number, the rest of it's not important. It converts a string representation of a number to an int, right? This is a string representation of a number, and it converts that to an int, right? So remember, with strings, it's just plain text. We can't do any calculations. So if we need someone types in a number in a text box, that's going to be a string. That's just going to be plain text. So we've got to convert that to an integer or a double or whatever. We've got to convert it to a number type so we can do the calculations if we want to do some calculations with that. And that's what this parse method does. So that's one of its methods, right? This is, we access its members through that period again. And this has a few methods. Actually, it doesn't have any properties, but it's got a few methods, and the parse is one method. And what that does is parses the string. Parse just means read and sort out. You're just reading and sorting it out, right? So you're just reading plain text and sorting it out. So it's reading this plain text, this string, and it's sorting out what it is, right? And then it's going to convert it. It's going to do something with it. It's going to convert it to an integer. So it's going to take this, this variable, which holds a string, right? And I'm passing it to this method. We pass stuff to methods within parentheses. We're going to talk about methods later on. So we're passing this to this method, and what this method does, remember methods do something, it takes that string representation, it parses it, reads it, sorts it out, does something with it, and what it does is converts it to an int, right? So now it becomes an integer, and we got to assign it here. So let's go ahead and run this. Alright, so we have the variable, and let's go ahead and execute this line. And so now we have an integer 44. This is a string 44, note the double quotes, right? And this method takes that string, that string representation of a number, it takes that and converts it to an integer. Note there's no quotes here, right? So this is a number type, and it's an int type, and we can do some calculations with that if we need to, right? Okay, so now look at this next line. I got a variable called length, which just initializes it with 0. So string literals also have members, just like with the variable. The string literals have have members too, the same members, right? So we can access those members the same way through the period. So the length, of course, is one of the properties. It just gives the length, the number of characters, just counts the number of characters, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And that's what it got. So there's 4 characters in my name, and it returns an int, right? So it assigns that number to this variable called length, which holds an int, right? So that's it for members. Again, I know it may be unclear of what a member is, why it's there. Don't worry about that right now. Just for now, know that it's there, and that you can access it with the period, and that you have methods, which use that symbol, the purple box. That's a method. Methods just do something, and a property just holds data, right? Just like a variable, it just holds data. So that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one.